For those of you who don't know, history can be a funny place. Earlier this year, spy balloons from China were found drifting over the United States. Little did most people realize that this wasn't the first instance of balloon warfare. In fact, it was just one in a long line stretching back to World War II when the Japanese deployed what would come to be known as balloon bombs. In today's video, we'll explore the impact that these ingenious weapons had on America's involvement in the war and highlight some curious parallels to modern times with our own spy balloons. So join us on our journey into history and see what we can uncover about balloon bombing in our strange little world. Welcome to History Insight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment if you enjoy this video. Through the centuries, warfare and military strategy have seen an immense amount of development, but few are aware of the balloon bombs used in World War II. Equally as surprising, these bombs directly preceded the modern spy balloons recently discovered in China. But what exactly were these weapons? Developed by the Japanese, they were designed to cross the Pacific Ocean on jet stream winds and explode in strategically important locations like factories, warehouses, and power plants all over North America. Nevertheless, the devices were largely failing and proved to be more successful as psychological weapons rather than instrumental ones. It all started on November 3, 1944, when the first operational launches took place. The Japanese launched around 9,000 balloons during a 5-month period with the intention of sending them across the Pacific to North America, carried by high-altitude winds that could reach over 6,000 miles. 2 days later, a U.S. Navy patrol boat spotted a balloon floating on the water off the coast of California. This was the first of many sightings of these mysterious balloons in the skies over the United States. Although only around 1,000 of these balloons reached North America, they caused quite a stir. Most of the sightings were reported in the northwest United States, but some balloons traveled as far east as Michigan. As more sightings occurred, the U.S. government and news media cooperated to adopt a policy of silence to avoid causing panic among U.S. residents and to deny the Japanese any information about the success of the launches. However, this policy was abandoned when 6 picnickers were killed in Oregon on May 5, 1945, after they found a balloon bomb in the woods and it exploded. Despite this tragedy, the actual damage caused by the balloon bombs was minor. However, the incendiaries they carried posed a serious threat to the northwestern U.S. forests during dry months. Moreover, the balloons could have been used to carry germ warfare, which would have been devastating. The balloon attacks began after air defense facilities in the United States had been deactivated. To counter this threat, the U.S. Army Air Forces and Navy fighters flew intercept missions to shoot down balloons when sighted. Army personnel and USAAF aircraft were also stationed at critical points to combat any forest fires that might occur. In addition, supplies of decontamination chemicals and sprays to counter any possible use of germ warfare were quietly distributed in the western United States. Although the Japanese launched thousands of balloons, they were ultimately unsuccessful in their efforts. Discouraged by the apparent failure of their attacks, they halted them in April 1945. The balloon bombs may not have caused significant damage, but they were a reminder of the ingenuity and determination of the Japanese during World War II. The true story of the deaths of 6 Americans, 5 of them children, from Japanese balloon bombs on U.S. mainland soil has been hidden away by the military for decades. These unfortunate victims are believed to be the only civilians ever killed on American soil during World War II, yet due to governmental secrecy and a shroud of mystery that still surrounds their deaths, not many people know about them. In 2020, the full details were revealed after a 75-year-old mystery was finally put to rest, unveiling what had happened in order to bring closure to the families affected by this hitherto unknown tragedy. It was a sunny day in Bly, Oregon, and Elsie Mitchell almost didn't go on the picnic with her husband, Reverend Archie Mitchell, and a group of Sunday school children. But despite feeling unwell due to her pregnancy, she decided to join them for a day of fun on Gerhardt Mountain. Little did they know that they were about to become the first and only civilians to die by enemy weapons on the United States mainland during World War II. While Archie parked their car, Elsie and the children stumbled upon a strange-looking object in the forest and shouted back to him. The Reverend would later describe that tragic moment to local newspapers. "I hurriedly called a warning to them, but it was too late. Just then, there was a big explosion. I ran up, and they were all lying there dead." Lost in an instant were his wife and unborn child, alongside Eddie Ingen, age 13, Jay Gifford, age 13, Sherman Shoemaker, age 11, Dick Patsk, age 14, and Joan Sis Patsk, age 13. The tragedy of that day would change the course of many lives in unexpected ways. But this was just one of the many strange incidents that had been occurring across the western United States in the months leading up to that spring day. Flashes of light, sounds of explosions, and the discovery of mysterious fragments had all amounted to little concrete information for military officials to go on. But it soon became clear that a strange new weapon, manufactured in Japan, had reached American shores: the balloon bombs. These balloons, which were the first successful intercontinental weapons, required more than 2 years of concerted effort and cutting-edge technology engineering to bring into reality. Japanese scientists carefully studied the jet stream, realizing that these currents of wind could enable balloons to reach United States shores in just a couple of days. The balloons remained afloat through an elaborate mechanism that triggered a fuse when the balloon dropped in altitude, releasing a sandbag and lightening the weight enough for it to rise back up. This process would repeat until all that remained was the bomb itself. The idea behind these balloon bombs was to instill fear and terror by causing forest fires as well as the initial explosion. These attacks began after air defense facilities in the United States had been deactivated. Japan launched some 9,000 balloons during a 5-month period to be carried by high-altitude winds more than 6,000 miles eastward across the Pacific to North America. Perhaps 1,000 of these reached this continent, but there were only about 185 reported incidents. Most were reported in the northwest United States, but some balloons traveled as far east as Michigan. Although the actual damage caused by the balloon bombs was minor, the incendiaries that these balloons carried did pose a serious threat to the northwestern U.S. forests during dry months. These balloons also offered a vehicle for germ warfare if the Japanese had decided to employ this weapon. As reports of isolated sightings and theories on how they got there, ranging from submarines to saboteurs, made their way into a handful of news reports over the Christmas holiday, government officials stepped in to censor stories about the bombs, worrying that fear itself might soon magnify the effect of these new weapons. The reverse principle also applied. While the American public was largely in the dark in the early months of 1945, so were those who were launching these deadly weapons. Discouraged by the apparent failure of their effort, the Japanese halted their balloon attacks in April 1945. But as the tragedy in Blee illustrated, the risk still remained, and the bombs still posed a real, if remote, possibility. In 2014, a couple of forestry workers in Canada came across one of the unexploded balloon bombs, reminding the world that the scars of war are slow to fade. It's a testament to the resiliency of the human spirit that those impacted by the balloon bombs were able to move on, even if they never forgot what happened. While the Bly incident and the balloon bombs themselves have largely been forgotten by history, they serve as a reminder that even the smallest events can have profound consequences. Thank you for watching this episode of History Insight. We hope you found this forgotten chapter of World War II fascinating and informative. If you did, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment below to let us know what you thought.